So this is Surviving Freshman Year. As I mentioned, we have Eljin with us tonight and Helena Coloma. We also have Emi Yanez and Myr'lice Dickens-Morse here to help us out.
Hi everyone, I'm Helena, and I will be discussing as our first topic admissions records and registration. When you're surviving your freshman year, the first department you're going to encounter are the admissions records and registration departments. So I'm just here to give you some tips and some resources that you can utilize when you're handling that. So our number one tip, or first one, is to know your student ID number. So every student is given a specific and a unique student ID number. It's very important that you know what it is. It helps even more if you memorize it, but if you can't, at least just always know it or have it readily available, since that's how the school will identify you and know you by. And then you're also given a specific registration date and time. And what that refers to is when you're registering for your class schedule. Every student is given a specific registration date and time so that when students are signing up for classes, they're not all coinciding and they're not all coinciding at the same time. Priority is usually given, depending on what college you go to freshmen or to the ones that are seniors. Everyone in between, not given as much priority, but as a freshman, it is important to know what your registration date and time is, so you're signing up at the time that you're supposed to, and that's so you don't miss out. It is your responsibility as the student to add a class, drop a class, or withdraw from the course. Don't rely on your professors or anyone else or your counselor to do it for you. And it's your responsibility as a student to do so. If you're wondering when are the deadlines to add a course, drop the course, or withdraw from it, you can refer to the registration calendar. Every college or university, to a CC to a four-year university, must have a registration calendar. And that gives the dates as well too for the rest of the school year. It gives you the holidays and when your breaks are as well too. So it's good to have that handy. If you're wondering where to access that, it's usually on your college website. Also, we have noted on here, pass, no pass, withdrawal, and incomplete grades don't count towards your GPA. A lot of colleges and universities have limits on how many classes you can take as for a letter grade or not for a letter grade. And that's why I give the pass, no pass, withdrawal, and incomplete as examples. So it's important to know how many courses you can take or what your limit is. And usually it's and then for most majors, they require that you take courses for a letter grade. So that's important to keep in mind when you're registering for classes. Don't sign up for all pass in one semester, because usually you will need some for a letter grade. And then for the resources I have listed on the side, the college catalog gives a list of all the courses that are available for that semester, or even for the following semester, just basically for the whole academic year. If you're wondering where to access a lot of these, usually on the college website. And then if you have any classes that you took when you were in high school that are for college credit, it's important to have those transcripts ready and have them have those transcripts sent in so they can be evaluated. So then you never know, you might actually already have completed a prerequisite for a course already, and you can just sign up readily for that course. Also too, included in the registration calendar is the final exam schedule. It's important to know when your final exams are so you don't schedule things at different time, or you don't pack your schedule when it's actually supposed to be like the date of your final exam, and you don't want to miss your final exam. Also included on here are petitions and forms. If you're working, a lot of colleges and universities let you take a reduced course load. That's something that can again be found on the website, or if you want to take more than the recommended number of full-time units, like if you want to exceed 16 to 18 units, which I think is the max, you can request an increased course load. And then also too, if you have any classes that you can use to transfer for college credit, a resource that we included on here is Transferology and Assist, which are good ones to keep in mind and jot down if you have any ones that you're wondering if they transfer.
Okay, thank you, Helena. Greetings. As I mentioned before, my name is Eljin. And for this section of the slide, of this presentation, we'll be talking about the financial aid. So financial aid for college students, sorry, is one of the most important things that help financially guide us prospective college students coming into college and really fund their education so you can have all the resources that you need monetarily to provide your and expense your college education. So one of the first things when it comes to financial aid, it starts with the FAFSA application. The FAFSA application is federal government aided money that helps college students for those who aren't able to pay for college on their own. So it acts as an assistance to the students that's trying to apply for the money. And more commonly, that comes from the FAFSA application is your Pell Grant. Now, the application for this FAFSA really depends on how quickly and completely you turn in your application. It opens at October 1st of every year, and within that period, it is always advised and really highly advised to apply early and often, because the earlier that you apply and the fully that you completed your application, the more money that you're able to get once you are accepted for the funds, and they can be sent to the funds can be sent to your school via the FAFSA link, and however your school is set up in the financial department. Now, the DREAM Act is designated for alien immigrants within the California region. So this is federal government money that is for the spouses and children of immigrants that came in and want to fund their education for the California residents. So all those who live in California, you are more than that follow those qualifications, you are more than able to apply and hopefully get accepted for federal government money to fund their education. Now, moving on to scholarships and grants. So scholarships and grants are resources and money that you don't have to pay back. So this is how they differ from loans, because scholarships and grants, which the NSHSS provides, are resources that you will want to take full advantage of and set aside time to complete all scholarship applications and grants, because you never know how much money that you really can get. And we'll talk a little bit more on the next slide, but for now, the key takeaway from this slide is scholarships and grants are what you really want when you come into the education and the collegiate field, because it's money that you don't have to worry about getting back. And the more that you pay for your school, the less you have to worry about the financial stresses of college, which is one of the main stresses, admittedly. So now we move on to loans. Loans differ from scholarships and grants because it's money that the government provides or you obtain through a third party loan provider for money that you have to pay back once you receive it. And there's two types of loans out there, which are unsubsidized versus subsidized. Now, people usually get these two confused, so I've always simplified it like this. Subsidized is the most popular and the most sought out loan because there's interest that you don't have to pay while you're in college. The government pays the interest while you're in college, so you don't have to pay an additional amount post-college, post a 6-month grace period once you graduate or depart from your college career. So unsubsidized loans is money that has a certain percentage rate or interest rate that you do have to pay back to the loan provider or the government loans provided to you. Now, the percentages can vary from state to state, so it's not really a set number as what the interest rate will be, but just know when unsubsidized loans, you will have to accumulate the interest and on top of the principal amount that you asked for. So example, if you wanted to get a $5,000 loan and it was unsubsidized for a 6% rate, 4 years after you go throughout college, then now it's not only your $5,000 principal, you also have to pay the $1,500 interest rate that accumulated over the time. So just something to keep in mind when applying for loans. If you have to, go for subsidized and maximize the opportunity that you have to. But if you have maxed out the value or you don't have another option, then unsubsidized can be another option for paying for college. Now, moving on to work-study programs. Work-study programs are programs provided by colleges and universities, which vary by campus and university, are opportunities for you to make money while you're going to college. So it's kind of like having a job while studying. And it's not as technical as an internship, but it's a lot less hours and it's really flexible and works with your schedule. And so, like I said before, colleges and universities have different policies on work study programs and what type of work that you do. So be sure to contact your advisor or your student services about the opportunities that are available. So next slide. Okay, moving on to scholarships. Now, this is my personal favorite slide out of everything because scholarships are one of the greatest mysteries, it seems, when it comes to prospective high school students and even college students and a few of my colleagues to this day. Scholarships are ways for you to earn money for your college career and also earn money through telling the story about yourself. Most scholarships tend to ask the common questions of what are your goals, what are your aspirations, why do you want to do what you want to do, the type of community service work that you've done, or describe a hardship or something personal within your life that separates you and differentiates you from all other applicants. And with these key common questions that are typically asked, it's always a great idea to explain your story that's unique to you. Everyone has a different story when it comes to scholarship and applying. So not everyone's going to have the same story. And for those who think, oh, well, I don't have anything interesting to say, no one knows you better than you. The more that you're able to tell a more unique and thorough and story that more caters to your situation and the either hardships or the highlights of your life, then do that. Please, please explain that as thoroughly as possible, because as a scholarship reviewer, and I've been one myself, that we like to see stories that are inspiring. We like to see stories that show to overcome hardships. We like to see stories that are unique. So the more unique that you make it, the higher probability of you winning the scholarships. I can personally tell you, I've applied over 100 scholarships. I've probably been denied over 70 times, I think. But when I look at that number, I look at it as a win because out of over the 100 times I've done it, it's only 70 are the ones I have not received. That still leaves a good amount of scholarships still able to either go to the finalist selection or actually even procure one of the valued amounts within that scholarships. So for those who have applied and have gotten denied, do not worry. It's a part of the process. I wouldn't be here to tell you this if I didn't go through it myself. Trust me, I know. So a few tips that I have here on the slides about how you can increase your chances of winning scholarships is having a great letters of recommendation. So these letters of recommendation must be for someone that's outside your family and someone that works and interacts with you on a daily. So think of someone like your teacher, your coach, a professor, an academic advisor, somewhere along those lines where they interact with you on a daily and they can really speak upon the character and the person that you really are, so you can get the highest value added when you submit your scholarship application. They not only have your words, what you said for your story, they also have something from someone else, another perspective to verify does it match up with the story that's being told. A high GPA is the next tip to have. Now, I like to put an asterisk on this high GPA because it's very subjective. When it comes to a high GPA, that can be anywhere. Just having over a 3.0 is a high GPA. But in certain cases, it can always vary different depending on the type of scholarship that you're going for and the dollar amount. Usually the higher amount scholarships require a lot more expectation for qualifications and GPA requirements. So be sure to maintain your GPA, being a part of the Honor Society. You have obviously shown that you're academically capable of being within a prestigious honor society with your high academic achievements. And so transfer that with scholarships. The higher that you keep your GPA, the more money that you can get with scholarships. So moving on to the next tip, we have quality versus quantity. So quality versus quantity, whenever I give a tip out for my essay writings, I always like to say, make sure that you have a quality story about yourself or a quality essay. So no matter how many times you have to get it reviewed from a friend, reviewed by, English writers or your writing department that might be at your school or resources that might be available, always have people proofread your application and your essay, because that's the meat and potatoes of your scholarship application. The better that you have your essay and the better that you have a quality, the better quality that you have and free from errors, the better your chances are of, say, winning the scholarship. Now, when it comes to quantity, this also reflects back to how many scholarships that you apply for. So there's always a debate of, Eljin, do I really want to go for a $10,000 scholarship, or should I go for this $1,000 scholarship since it takes a little bit more time? And my more definite answer is go with what works for you. So when it comes to this stage of the scholarship application, quality versus quantity will always come up. And so you can either spend a lot of time and effort on a high paying scholarship, or you spend a minimum time, but still a decent amount of effort to apply for multiple different scholarships. And really, if I had to really have an honest say on it personally, I'll say do both, because you never know how much money that you really might need or might get just by simply applying. There's times you can apply for scholarships and you not even have all the qualifications, and you can still win it just because nobody else did. So that moves me on to the second to last point here about being passionate with your essays and your short responses. Know everything about you and exemplify what you can about you. So the more like I said before, the more you know your story, the better your chances are when it comes to winning the scholarships. So be passionate and really tell a story that is concise with what the prompt is, but also congruent to what your story is about you. And finally, and really I find this the most important out of all, believe in yourself. Believing in yourself can do more than you could ever think about. Believing in yourself when you come to the application and scholarship application, it goes a long way. And the more that you believe in yourself and believe that you can do it, you never know if you're not able to do it unless you try. So we have different scholarships and different organizations that's outside of the NSHSS that offer scholarships and resources. So this could be, you're actually specified within your own college or university or your surrounding community colleges. So be sure to reach out to your financial aid office or your advisor and really ask the question, what resources are available to me within my region, or where resources can be provided. Other ways that you can win scholarships and grants and whatnot could be through clubs, sports, honor society, etc. So these are extracurricular ways that you can do without having to do the standard generalization of searching through the web and going through all the application processes. It might be a little bit easier doing it something that's more closer to home, or more suited for your strengths and skills. Now, for all those who are planning or thinking about attending an HBCU or historically black college or university, I would highly recommend having the Thurgood Marshall College Fund and the United Negro College Fund TMCF and UNCF, respectively, as great resources for providing college funds for those attending historically Black colleges and universities. Other scholarships and resources we have available are Scholarship America, Fastwell, Scholarship Owl, and scholarships.com. Personally, these are all websites that I've used to win scholarships throughout. So I can attest that all of these scholarships are valid resources for applying for scholarships. And all organizations that are partnered with the National Scholarship Providers Association. So.
Thank you, Eljin, for all the information about scholarship development and finances. I'm going to be speaking about the academic side. And so for our first tip is to choose your professor or instructor. Don't just choose it by the class. So you're probably going to hear this around. So to choose the class based on the professor or instructor that's choosing it, a lot of different instructors have different methods of teaching. So you can either ask around, or there's, websites like Rate My Professor, where actual students give they kind of give their testimonies of what it was like taking courses with that professor. Now, different students have different schedules. With me, I always have, I work as well as going to school. So I choose my classes based on a professor or instructor with more flexible office hours rather than just set office hours, so then I could go to those office hours. And if you're wondering then what you can do, you can check out those websites like Rate My Professor to see what the testimonies from other previous students who've taken that specific course have been like. Or you can reach out to the actual professor or instructor, ask them for their syllabus, because let's just say for an introduction to psychology class, let's say there's 5 different professors for that, you can reach out to all 5. Just send a quick email, ask them for the syllabus, and see if the way that their class is set up works for you. If you prefer to do more writing, so choosing a professor for that intro psychology class that's more writing based maybe for you, or if you're more of a test taker, you don't really, you're not as keen as writing essays, then maybe that professor that is more test based would be for you. So thoroughly plan out your class schedule using the campus map, registration calendar, college catalog, and the final exam schedule, which we talked about in the previous or one of the previous slides that I discussed earlier. Plan out your class schedule. So by using the campus map that we're referring to, kind of get already a feel of, or get an idea of how the campus is set up before you go there. You don't want on your first day, you realize you chose a class that's in one building and then it ends up it's completely far away from where your class is in another building. So use the campus map, know where certain buildings are already for your classes, make sure it's within a reasonable distance so you're able to make it from one class to the other. Or if you feel like you need a break in between classes, then make sure you plan out your class schedules like that too. Like if you want all your classes in the morning, a break in the afternoon, and then go back in the evening, keep that in mind as well too. And then always refer to the registration calendar so you know when to add, drop, and withdraw from classes, the college catalog so you know what the schedule or the list of classes being offered for that particular semester is, and the final exam schedule so you can make sure you're not going to miss your final exam, since final exams do make up a majority of your grade. Get to know your professors, your instructors, and the TAs, and make sure you get them to know you. And what we refer to that is it's important to attend office hours. We're recommended more like. So then your professors, instructors, and TAs, they get to know who you are. So if later on you're wanting to seek out a letter of recommendation, say like for a scholarship or such that Eljin mentioned, they already know who you are and what you're like, and it'll just make it a little bit easier on them too. When they're making your letter of recommendation. Also as well too, if you just need specific help with the subject or there's an upcoming test or a quiz, attending office hours will actually benefit you as well too, because usually when it comes to those lecture times, it's set for like an hour or 2 hours or such, and the professor instructor needs to get through that amount of material in that time. So in case it's not set up in an environment where you can ask questions readily during that set lecture time, attending office hours allows you to then ask those questions on things that you didn't quite get during the lecture. Also as well too, that's where you get to meet your other classmates. And that moves on to study review sessions and forming study groups. If you feel like you would learn better in a group setting, there's usually study or review sessions that are offered either by the TA or by the instructor themselves, which would again help you to ask questions then, or learn a little bit more about the material that you didn't quite were able to get during that set lecture time. Or you can form a study group of your own, connect with your classmates either before or after class, so you're not disrupting the lecture time, but connect with them about possibly forming a study group with you. Also as well too, as what's most important, mental health. Your classmates are also probably struggling with the material just the same as you. And it's very important to prioritize your mental health when you're taking your classes. So make sure you take your time with that. We're going to get more into about mental health and resources that your college or university can offer to you as well too later in this webinar. Time management, that'll greatly help with your mental health as well too. With time management, we recommend at least 2 hours of studying per credit or unit. So say you're taking a 4-unit course, we recommend at least 2 hours of studying for that specific course. And then also as well too, as we're going back here, yes, thank you. So the higher the number of credits or units will be the greater the challenge, meaning a 1-unit course, usually your professor won't expect you to spend as much time versus a 4-unit course. Usually the course load is a little bit higher, so make sure you keep that in mind. Usually those, it'll just be greater the challenge basically. And so some resources that we recommend in terms of academics, we have listed here on the side. Grammarly helps a lot with grammar, punctuation, when you're writing an essay or such. Quizlet helps a lot if you want to for flashcards, and Quizlet, I believe, might still be free to users. Khan Academy always has great review sessions and lecture videos. If you're in the sciences or you're interested in that, Khan Academy is really great with that, with science and mathematics. There's also learning assistance and on-campus tutoring. On-campus tutoring would be great. I worked as an on-campus tutor. These are actually students who have taken the class before that you're interested in, or maybe they took it a semester or two before, and they're actually able to give you that advice and the tutoring that you would need on that specific class, since different professors have different ways of teaching the material. So especially too, if you're getting on-campus tutoring and help from someone who has actually taken the course, they'll be able to give you more like tips and advice on how to learn the material, and then also to what to expect for any quizzes or exams or your final exam that might come up. So that's to conclude the academics portion. Next slide, please.
Hi, so I'm going to be talking about the student and campus services slide. So I am a freshman at Middle Georgia State, and as a freshman, these are some of the things I just had to learn to kind of use in totality. So first, we're going to start off with student email and newsletters. Always, always, always check your student email, because you could be sent anything from emergency alerts on campus to school closures to just fun events you can go to on campus. And as far as newsletters go, you can find anything in your school newsletter. My school newsletter, we like to incorporate jobs on campus. We like to incorporate events on campus, leadership opportunities, fun little stop by tables you can do. So take full advantage of your newsletters. That's going to be where you get a lot of your information about campus. Tutoring, like Helena said, tutoring is a big thing on campus. So when you get to campus, try to find out where your campus's tutoring centers are. So we have a couple on campus. And yes, our professors make sure we know, but it's still a good idea to have anyway, because like our writing center will help us with essays, and our math center will help us with math homework, whether it be statistics or quantitative reasoning or pre-calc. It'll help you with all types of services and all types of subjects. Academic, major, and career advising. So as somebody who works in the Career Center on campus, academic major and career advising is just something that is so important to me. So for your academic advisors, keep in touch with your academic advisors. These are the people you're going to want to go to when it comes to organizing your classes for the semester, registering for classes for the semester. Your major advisors, these are going to be similar to your career advisors, but not exactly the same people, because major advisors are just that. They're there to help you figure out what major you could possibly want to go into. And finally, career advisors. Career advisors are there to figure out, once you know what your major is, what career can you go into? What field can you go into? So as a media and comms major, I want to go into public relations. So I will go to my career advisor to see what exactly I can do in that field. Let's see, counseling. Most campuses I know of have some type of counseling and or therapy there for you if you ever need it. And it's a good thing to know it's there, because college can be stressful, college can be a lot, college can be mentally draining. So it's a good idea to just have that resource in your back pocket. Health centers. So these are going to be like your health clinics on campus, things that'll help you keep your health up in case you get sick on campus, which happens. Trust me, it happens. And just there, if you need like the checkup, our health center partners with another CVS close to campus. So if we ever need prescriptions or anything like that, that's where we would go. Now, my college doesn't do this specifically, but some colleges provide discounted health insurances for their students. And these discounted health insurances are not going to be something commonly advertised. So it is something you're going to have to kind of ask around for if you're ever in the situation that you would need the health insurances. Now, dining halls, food banks, and pantries. Always know your dining hall hours, because dining hall hours can vary. Dining places on campuses can vary, and it's just something you would want to know, because late night snacks isn't always an option with some dining halls and pantries. So campuses have on-site food pantries for those students who might need the typical college ramen noodles or microwavable mac and cheese, or just those quick meals that you could throw in the microwave with water and that's your meal. So you really want to keep an eye on those food pantries if you need them. Technology and textbook programs. Now, technology and textbook programs for some colleges are going to be included in your tuition. These programs are going to be like maybe your math textbook or your psychology textbook, or your college is using a certain software for their math classes. That is what these programs are going to be. And they vary in price, but they're going to be included in your tuition, and they're going to be included in, I believe, your bookstore fees, depending on where you are. Libraries. Libraries are, sometimes they're the best place to study. Know your library hours. Our library hours are from like 6 a.m. to midnight. And there are like 30 study rooms in our libraries. So we can go to one of our libraries and really buckle down and focus and study and take a quiz or take a test and do what we really need to do. Transit and transportation systems. This is another thing you're going to have to kind of dig around for, because transit and transportation systems especially if your college has multiple campuses, will get you from one campus to another. If it does not have multiple campuses, then these transit and transportation systems will take you to surrounding area. So this could vary from a shuttle on campus or public transportation. And these are schedules that will be posted, but you're going to kind of have to dig around for. Disability services. Disability services is a big thing, especially if you have any type of disability that you would want known, whether it be academically, whether it be physically. Disability services is going to be a big thing because disability services decides everything. What your testing environment is going to be like, what your housing environment is going to be like, what your class environment is going to be like. So if needed, you're really going to want to keep in contact with disability services. Now, the registrar's office. I believe Helena was talking a while back about things such as your transcripts and grades and whatnot. The registrar's office is where you're going to go. They're the people that keep track of things like your grades, your transcripts, your class schedules. So you're really going to want to keep track of this office and know where it is in case you ever are in the situation where something went wrong with your transcripts or with your credits. That's where you want to go.
Okay, thank you, Myr'lice. Now we'll be moving on to the segment of talking about the on-campus and versus off-campus housing. So when it comes to off-campus and on-campus housing, there's always a debate on whether which is right for me. Now, fresh out of high school and going into college, 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10, it's going to be the on-campus option. And the reason why on-campus housing would be the more viable option for those moving from high school onto the college lifestyle would be the thought process of safety on campus. Most college campuses, if not all, have security officers and measures of security in order to keep the students safe from any outside dangers of the local neighborhoods or the surrounding areas for which the campus resides. There's also better privacy than off campus, and you're close to campus with the ease of maintenance of having to clean up your dorm life and really not have to worry about furniture or furnishing your home on-campus housing, because typically it comes already furnished and with the utilities and everything else. So the college expense would just be one set expense. Now, there's also on-campus also has the advantage of having a designated meal plan and having amenities already aligned for you. So some college campuses have pools, they'll have resources, workout gym facilities for camps for students. And so these resources are becoming valuable when you're living a college lifestyle and you really need something fast. You know, going into college is always that idea of you can't make any money or not a lot of money because you're always in school and studying for your academics career. So it's always something to keep in mind when looking at on-campus housing. The off-campus, for which I am right now, is usually more centered towards when you get later within your college career. So now that you've developed that time management skills, the responsibility aspect, having mobility and access to resources that allow you to move more freely, then off-campus housing is a lot more viable for those in that position. Safety varies depending on where you go, and depending on which state and city. I can't always speak for all cities and states and what the safety protocols is in the neighborhoods, but be sure to find somewhere that is suited for your needs and able to stay protected at night. Privacy is completely up to you, and your independence is even more up to you. When you have off-campus, when you're only off-campus housing, it's a lot more free for your parents. So for those who really want to take a step back from the parent household, being there most of your life, being in the house most of your life, this will be another great option. Those who really want that independence and peace of mind. It is a little bit harder to manage off-campus housing just because you have to do everything yourself on campus as opposed to on campus. You know, sometimes you have janitors that come by throughout the halls of the dorms and able to clean up a little bit more. But at the end of the day, now that you're transitioning from the high school phase to the college phase, you are responsible for your actions, and you're responsible for everything that you ever do once you approach the college campus. So please keep that in mind. Meal plans are not good. Unfortunately, wish they was, but either cooking on yourself or having to procure food by other means. So it's kind of tragic, especially for me. The bills are not always inclusive. Now it does depending on your housing availability and housing situation. Some apartment complexes included within the rent, some don't. So it all varies and contingent upon where you go. In terms of lease flexibilities, this can vary as well. Most leases want you to stay in contract for a whole entire year. Some are half a year and others are monthly. So it just really depends on what, again, works with your financial plan, and really works with how well you want to be moving around. Personally, I like the year-long leases just because it gives me a set amount of time to accumulate money or accumulate more resources to plan out my financials a lot better. And so in terms of amenities and furnished, again, this is very subjective. It varies on where you go and who are you who you signing a lease with. So please keep that in mind. And so when it comes all in all in this on campus versus off campus, please choose what's best for you and know what works for you when deciding this coming into college. So thank you. And next slide, please.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emi, and I'm a sophomore at Oglethorpe University. So we're going to talk about a little bit about campus safety and everything that you should know when you go to college. So basically, the first thing that we're going to touch on, we're not going to touch on all of the things that are here because some of them they were mentioned before, but about transportation services, it depends on your city, but usually if you live like in a metro city like I live, Atlanta, Georgia, buses and metro, like train or anything, usually they offer discounts for students. So if you can get like your student pass, you can get like a reduced or discounted train pass or bus pass. So that will really benefit you if you're commuting. If you live on campus, that shouldn't be a problem. Also, always keep in mind to, if you're going to buy something or if you're going to the supermarket or something, just keep in mind, if you're walking, just do it during the day. If you're doing it, at night, just go with maybe friends, but try to avoid going out at night by yourself, honestly. On campus police, it always is good to have the campus safety phone number saved in your phone. So if you can have that phone number handy, something happens and you don't know what can happen on campus. So you can just, call them and say, hey, I need assistance or whatever. It's always good to have that phone number. Emergency call boxes. It depends on the campus. Many campuses, like big campuses in like metro areas, they offer those emergency call boxes. I go to a really small university, so we don't have those here. But of course, use those resources if you have them in any case of emergency. emergency disaster preparedness. Usually people on campus, they offer those classes. And sometimes if you're a freshman, they make you do that. You know, they ask you to do like a prep class, or, you know, read the policies or anything, and just sign up that you read it. So you're aware of all of the policies and all of the communications that we send out in the case of an emergency. Softwares for public alert or anything. So every campus, each university has a different system. So just to give an example, here at Oglethorpe, we have an app called Work. And through that app, we send out emergency messages. If we have any events, we send out reminders. So everything through that app is that my university works. If you go to, of course, a different university, ask your counselor which app or which platform you guys are using, so you can download it or have it, you know, on your phone or on your computer, so you can keep keep that updated. Student advocacy, and this comes with the following: LGBTQ+, minority and undocumented students. I'm basically an international student. I wasn't born in the US. I learned English a couple of years ago. So when you're in high school in the States, sometimes you feel like you're not being recognized. Maybe if you're part of certain communities, they're not being, helped out or supported the way you wanted. That doesn't happen in college. In college, you have basically the freedom and the support system to open a club, or maybe to attend different activities that helps you with your heritage. Just to give an example, right now in my college, we're having many activities for Black History Month, and that is really amazing for all of my, my friends, and I always go. So it's really great to, to have those and activities. And also, if you feel like you're not being represented on campus, always you can ask your counselor, or maybe you can go to the SGA. That's the Student Government Association that you guys should have, or also called the Student Government Body Association. It depends on the institution again, but you can, reach out to them and send them an email, or send an email to your class representative, and say like, hey, this is my concern, and I would like to do this, or I would like to start a club, or this activity I think will be beneficial for the community. So always try to reach out if you have a concern or you feel like you're being left out. Disabilities or any accommodations, like I always say, please communicate. If you're having any situations or troubles or anything, please communicate with your counselor, or in my case, here is the accessibility department. They have a mixture with disabilities as well. So everything that you need to reach out about that, please communicate with them first, and they will do it with your professor, because your professor needs to get verified and get notified about all of those things that you need to transition into college. And as I mentioned, transitioning into college is not easy. So if you need assistance, if you need help, there are always ways to, go through this. One of the ways that I personally do is counseling. People sometimes they will tell you that counseling in college is not very good, but you can try out at least once if you're struggling. Always look for help. Never shut down or think this is the end. Think college is very difficult sometimes, so keep in mind that your mental health goes first. So counseling and mental health, pretty much, I will say most of the universities in the US, they offer mental health services or counseling services. So just make sure you register and you get an initial intake for that, as well as all of those touch on if you're having any concerns about any sexual abuse or anything in regards to education or prevention or anything like that. Counseling and mental health, the mental health department in your institution can help you with that as well. But if you need kind of an immediate response, always reach out to the student affairs department. If you feel like you or any of your, like your roommate or maybe one of your friends are going through something and you don't know who to reach out, student affairs, they're always a good place to start with. Student rights and activism. So basically, like I mentioned before, SGA. In my institution, that's the Student Government Association. It has different names in different institutions, but if you have anything that you would like to start on, if there is any particular movement and you want things to get approved and you would like to start maybe a club, or like I was mentioning, any movement that you would like to support, you would like to go into the SGA and get that approval. Okay, and most of the times they approve it if it's something positive and if it's something that helps students to be integrated into the community as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Some of the tips that we added here, as well as I mentioned, know your way around campus. So if you live on campus, please know your way around. Sometimes if you live in a big campus in a metro area, just be mindful that if the campus is near like downtown or any area, you have to be mindful of that as well. Use locks always. If you're living in a dorm, just know the policies that you have, what time you're supposed to come in, you're supposed to leave, everything schedule and everything, you should know it if you live in a dorm. Always inform someone you trust. Yes, that is completely true, and everybody should know that. If you're going even to the supermarket or you're going out of campus, day or night, just let somebody know. Can be your roommate or it can be your friend, but just let somebody know where you're going. And keep your phone charged. If you don't have your charger at the moment, you can buy a portable charger. That's what I did because I'm a commuter, so I don't have the opportunity to go into my dorm and get my things and get my charger. So what I do is I have a portable charger with me all the time. And if you're a freshman, it will be beneficial for you because you're going to be in so many activities and the welcome weekend. In my case, I had that opportunity to participate, and also a portable charger was so beneficial for me. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, hi guys. So I'm going to be talking about student and campus life, which is something I'm a big part of. I actually just moved location because I'm a part of our campus activities board, and we are holding a Mardi Gras event tonight. So first things first, academic and educational. This is going to be your honor societies, clubs like your English studies organization, your math organizations, anything like that. Community service. This is going to go hand in hand with organizations on campus like your student leadership, because a lot of your student leadership programs will require you to have some type of community service hours or community service day that you have to put in. Media and publications. These are going to be things like your newsletters, your school newspapers, any news outlet your school may have, any radio station your school may have, any YouTube channels, anything like that. Political and multicultural. These are going to be like your model African unions, your anything dealing with pre-law in some way or another. Recreation and sports. No matter what, trying to find the word. No matter what university or college, you're going to have some type of sport, whether it be a division sport or an intramural sport. So sports are going to be a big thing pretty much no matter where you go. Now, recreation. Your recreation center on campus, honestly, I suggest you just go in there and kind of walk around. There's so much stuff in my rec that I'm just now learning. We had like our dance studio and our pool and all of these types of things. Like we have a kickboxing gym in our rec. So it's just a lot. Student government is going to be just like what Emi's saying. Student government is going to be there for you. Student government also goes hand in hand with your student leadership, whether it be freshman leadership or upperclassmen leadership. The student government is going to be there to help push your voices towards the admin of the campus, because sometimes we're not always heard and sometimes we just need to be heard. Religious and spiritual. Now, I don't really know a lot about this topic. I'm going to be completely honest. So if one of my fellow hosts would like to pitch in, you're more than welcome. But these could be anything like church services on some campuses or anything of the sort. And then co-curricular activities. So these are different than extracurriculars because co-curricular activities are things that actually go with your major. Extracurriculars is stuff, of course, extra you're doing on the side, but co-curriculars will go hand in hand with your major. Extracurriculars that are advertised on college websites. Okay, so these are going to be like your regular clubs, like anime club, any type of, I'm a nerd, so any type of book club, any type of movie club, anything like that, just any plain club. So we already discussed student emails and newsletters, but I'm gonna wrap back around to that because they're so important. Like I said earlier, these student emails and newsletters are gonna be where you find these things about extracurriculars and whatnot. So keep an eye on those things. Registered student organizations. So registered student organizations are any student started organization. You can start a registered student organization. They don't always have to be campus or university sections. I mean, university organized clubs. And this is anything that if you see a want for it, you can find an advisor and you can start it. Now, registered college and university organizations are normally affiliated with departments. So things like I said, like English studies organization, any math-based organization, math leagues, anything like that is gonna be university organized because that is something affiliated directly with the university. And activities sponsored by colleges, these will be your sports and your recreation or anything media, publication, or community service, because that has to be things approved by your university. Now, within this, I'm going to say fair warning, don't be me and be in like 1,000 different things at once because it can get a lot. But it's always important to participate in these types of things. So I greatly advise things like student organizations, campus organizations, and just any types of extracurriculars.
You're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for sharing all of those tidbits and all of the information that's going to help our upcoming college students. What I want to do now is give each of our co-hosts a little bit of time to talk about themselves and their transition through college, from high school and into college. And then we'll open up the floor to Q&A. I'll answer questions that come in through the chat, so drop them there as we're listening to our co-hosts talk. And we'll let Eljin start us off.
Okay. Thank you, Jasmine. When it comes to my transition and my story of how I transitioned from high school to college, originally I came from a small high school, small college preparatory private high school called McClay High in Tallahassee, Florida. And so when it comes to how prepared academically I was for college, I would say I was on the right track and a little bit more ahead in terms of my preparedness and time management skills from attending the high school. In terms of athletics throughout high school, I was a 3-sport athlete. So I played football, weightlifting, and track. So I already kind of naturally had a more time management based skill set just because of all the sports I play on top of the academics and the kind of the high amplitude that you had to be for the school that I went to. So it was the transition wasn't as bad just because of that aspect. I went on to play college football for 2 years at my university before just sticking just in engineering in general. But also during freshman year, and I'm sure Helena can attest to this, we experienced this wonderful thing called COVID. And so that transition was a lot harder than the initial college experience is. So it's kind of added multiplier of stress and kind of uncertainty with trying to adjust to the college lifestyle. But I would say post the initial shock of COVID, I think I've adjusted pretty well from the high school level to the college level. So I would say for those who's making the transition now, it's going to be new, it's going to be stressful, and it's going to be kind of weird, just truthfully. But if you look at it optimistically and come with it with a focused mindset and really know what you really want to apply yourself and explore different opportunities that the campus have, then I would say college would be a more than pleasurable experience for you. Helena, anything that you would like to add on?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Eljin. Yeah, you make a lot of really great points. You know, college is it's just basically there for you, and just to kind of like attest to something I said earlier, different students, like you're not going to have the same journey as another student. No matter what year you are, everyone has different circumstances and schedules. From in terms of like my journey from high school to college, kind of similar to Eljin. I played a lot of sports when I was in high school. I played 5 sports. I did dance, which counted as a sport, and then track and field, and then basketball, cheer, and then golf as well too. And then I was also just kind of well-rounded in a lot of academic organizations and a lot of AP and honors. And you're going to notice once you transition from high school to college, that you become a lot of more independent as well too. A lot of the interests that you had in high school, you may not have the same as when you were in college. And so that's why it's important when you are applying, or I know we're talking about surviving your freshman year, or if you're still in the process or you're still like about to apply for college admissions. That's why it's important to attest to things that make you unique. Eljin spoke about it earlier. When you are doing like your scholarship applications or you're doing your college admissions applications, it's important to talk about what makes you unique, because they're going to hear the same things over and over, you know, like well-roundedness. And of course, since all of you are here with NSHSS, all of you are committed, or you know, all of you have that academic drive and ambition, of course. So that's why it's important to talk about what makes you unique, so then they can see who you really are. Also as well too, I guess, to share about me. So yeah, so from high school to college, it was just kind of weird with the COVID going on. So kind of had to get used to going from in-person to online to back to in-person again. But during that time is when I transferred from UC Berkeley to Harvard University, where I'm at now. And but I guess just to kind of summarize what I was saying is just if there's resources, your college or university, it's important to just then kind of do your own research and kind of understand you are going to have to be a little bit independent. Do your research on what your college has to offer you. That's why it's important to, when you are applying for your college admissions and stuff, to find a college or university that is right for you. You might even end up like me. I ended up transferring later on. So yeah, that's just basically what I wanted to share. Just kind of expect you are going to be kind of more independent and on your own, but it doesn't mean it's not impossible, because if other people can do it, then so can you. But yeah, that's just about me. And then if either one of the others want to share about themselves, you're more than go ahead.
Okay. So in my case, when I transitioned to college, I graduated in 2021. And maybe if you're listening to me right now, maybe you're an international student, or maybe you came from a different country. And it is hard sometimes when you don't speak the language, or maybe if you have a friend who's learning English and is struggling to learn it. And that's what happened to me when I was in high school. I graduated here, and it took me about 2 years to, learn English and how to write it and everything. So it was hard for me at the beginning, and I didn't have the hope, or like I was hopeless about getting into college because of this reason. So if you think because you feel that language barrier is there, trust me firsthand, it's not impossible. There are always opportunities and ways for you to get into college. And just, do your research and think about which colleges would you like to apply, which career would you like to do and get into, because that's pretty important. And also in some colleges, in my college, for example, we offer minors, and I didn't know that when I got into college. So you can major in whatever, like psychology or biology, and you can have a minor in something that you would like to. If you like French or Spanish, you can take classes as well. So that's the great opportunity of, going to college and, getting to know people as well. You meet a lot of people in college. You meet people from different countries, from different parts of the world, and you become more respectful, I think, and more aware of people's, cultural background as well. So I think that's basically the best thing that have happened to me in college, that I've get to know more about, American culture as a Hispanic Latina, and also people around the world as well. And sometimes it can get stressful and you sometimes will be like, oh no, I don't want to keep going. But like I was mentioning a couple of minutes ago, every college, every institution offers resources for you. So if you need, any type of assistance, there's always a counseling center that you can go to and just, give it a try and see if you like it or not. But there's, somebody always there for you if you need support. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and a little bit about myself in regards to my major. I'm a psych major with a minor in Spanish. I speak Spanish, but I love Spanish, so I got a minor. And I live in Atlanta, Georgia, where the NSHSS headquarters is located. I'm an NSHSS intern as well. I got my internship at NSHSS through Oglethorpe University. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. So I completely agree with everything everybody else just said. College is going to be a little different for everybody, and your experience transitioning into college is going to be a little bit different than everybody else you meet along the way. Me personally, my experience was a little atypical because I was coming from an online high school setting into a in-person college classroom lecture hall setting. So naturally, it was a little much for me, but I threw myself into everything I could possibly throw myself into, which I don't recommend. But okay, so first of all, a little bit about me. I am a new media and comms major with a concentration in public relations, which is different than a major. And I go to Middle Georgia State, where I am in student leadership and campus activities board, which is why I'm at our Mardi Gras event, and a little bit of everything else. I have been in NSHSS for a year and a half at this point, and I think I'm going on my second year, I think. Don't quote me on that. But college is definitely going to be a little bit different for everybody, and I especially recommend joining clubs in your freshman year. If you want to take it so in your freshman year and focus on academics, that's perfectly fine. But personally, clubs really helped me acclimate to this new environment. It helped me meet new people, more people, so I wasn't just constricted to those I met in the classroom and those I met in my dorm room. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my college experience.
Thank you guys so much. We do have a couple of questions. So they are open to any of you guys that would like to answer. And our first question is, how did you make friends in your freshman year?
I guess I can go first. When it came to making friends freshman year, when I first came on campus, just to note that I came from a small high school. So the total, a K through 12, that was total of less than 1,000 students, and the high school was about 350, almost 400, around there. And so going to a university that was a lot larger in scale, about 10,000 students on campus, was a little overwhelming at first, even as a student athlete. And usually student athletes are used to being around crowds of people and new faces and new experiences. But it was a little over challenging and a little overwhelming, but with making just a comment of, hey, how you doing? Or, just common gestures and conversation starters could really go a long way. A lot of my, good portion of my friends that I have now, I met during orientation or at some part of that first week of orientation. And it really just started off as a, common introduction, ask for a name, and really just getting the ball rolling from there. So it's always a different experience as to how you make collegiate friends, because they are supposed to be your longest lasting friendships throughout your life. So, it's always a different experience, but as long as it's a genuine experience, I feel like as hard as it seems, as long as you're really willing to put yourself out there and really go after seeking a positive friendship relationship.
That's awesome.
I can go next to that. Yeah, so probably the more common way is if you do decide to do on-campus housing, there's your roommates or your dorm mates, or the other ones that are also on the same floor as you. That's something where I was able to make friends easily. Your orientation, whatever group you get set up with. If you are looking to build friends with the same interests as you, so if you join certain clubs that you're interested in, or even in your classes. Obviously, you don't want to be talking during the actual lectures themselves and interrupting the professor, but before or after your classes or whoever you're sitting next to. Those are usually the easiest way to make friends if you're more introverted. You can even go to those office hours and when it's in a more intimate and smaller setting, that might be easier for you, versus it's hard to make friends when you feel like you're in a big lecture hall. But just keep in mind you are there to learn in that moment, but before and after class is usually a great way.
Awesome. The next question is, what is your favorite part about college?
I think I can go first. As somebody from a different country, I think the best thing about college here in the US is that you get to know a lot of people. And I think I just mentioned that a couple of minutes ago, but that cultural background that you get when you go to college, I think you get more used to people from from different parts of the world who speak different languages and different opinions and views, and that you might not like sometimes, but that's the good thing about college, and having that universal classroom that everybody can give out their opinion, and you always have to be respectful. So yeah, and it's always good to learn about people and making friends as well. In my case, the biggest way that I made friends was during the welcome weekend here at my university, or like Helena was mentioning, during that week before you start your freshman year. That's the best time for you to make a couple of friends, have that study buddy if you need one, that you probably need one if you have taken, core classes or any class related with your major, always get somebody to study with. But yeah, so basically that's it.
Does anyone else want to share their favorite part about college?
I guess I'll share my favorite part. So far, my favorite part about college has weirdly been like the classes, but also like the events. And I'm gonna say classes first, just because my school is fairly small, but in our classes, not only do we learn so much, but we're so active in our classes. Our classes are so hands-on, and I really love that about my school. Because I'm such a hands-on learner that everything just processes better that way for me. And then events, because of things like this, like you get to meet new people at events, you get to vibe with new people at events, and it just becomes like you meet friends at events and friends that you never thought you would make, but you make because, hey, we went to this one event together and now we're cool. So I feel like that would be my favorite part of college so far.
Cool. Our next question is, did any of you move for college? And if so, how did you deal with being so far away from your family and friends? So I moved for college. It was really hard to be that far away from the people I had grown up around my whole life, but I tried to look at the bright side and think about all of the exciting new opportunities and the new people that I would get to meet. And I also knew that they were just like a phone call away. Especially once COVID happened, like video chats and calls like started popping. So hop on FaceTime, you can always call them, they're always there. The kind of love that you build in the first 18 years of your life don't disappear if you just move. So my advice would just be to call them and then make new connections so that, you don't feel so isolated. Our next question is, do any of you have advice for someone who hasn't decided on their major when starting college?
I mean, I wasn't fishing.
No.
Okay. I was just gonna say that it's okay to not know what your major is gonna be. Like, you don't have to dive into college knowing your major. When I originally applied for colleges, I had like 6 different majors that I thought I wanted to do before I really narrowed it down. And even if you don't have even like a modicum of an idea, that's okay. And that's what your career and major and academic advisors are here for, to kind of help you through that process and give you the resources you need and you want, so that you can talk yourself through that process of finding out what you really want to do.
Yeah, that was good advice. I would say if you're kind of deciding between like a couple different majors, or at least what you're at least interested in, you could take those courses and see if it is actually in that concentration that you're interested in, or if you don't want to risk spending your tuition and money on it. Something you can do is, when I was deciding between biology and chemistry, just look into the major requirements, because usually it gives like a whole list of classes that you'd have to take for them, and then from there you can kind of decide like, okay, do I really want to take this introduction to, or do I want to take this calculus class? No, math's not really my forte, let me look into a different major. So that's something you could do. You can just look into, that might be in your course catalog or on your college website, or just speaking to a counselor what those actual specific major requirements can be. So then you can plan out your years accordingly. Because I know some colleges and universities, you absolutely have to declare your major, I think by like your second or your third year at least. But by your first year, like all colleges and universities are pretty forgiving for it. But that could be an efficient way. And then also just making an appointment with your counselor. You can mention what your interest is. If you like film, for instance, they can point you in the right direction. Even if you like film, you might major in communication. So that'd be a good way.
Yeah, I also just want to add that sometimes you can audit classes. So you definitely have to check with your university or your college, but most colleges will give you the opportunity to sit in on a class and hear it before you sign up to pay for it. So make sure you take advantage of that as well. Okay, let me see here. Is there anything that you know now that you wish you knew when you started college?
I
Yes.
think I can take this one.
Okay. So I think that probably when I was in high school, I looked at scholarships and I didn't know that little tiny bits of scholarships, maybe, $250, $500 will be so much meaningful when you're in college, because books in college, they're really expensive. So you're gonna be in a situation that you have to buy, I don't know, 16 books for your semester, or maybe more, or maybe less. And pretty much books in college, they're really expensive. And if you have a, $500 or $250 that you want a scholarship back in college, back in high school, that could benefit you to cover all those expenses as well. So just keep in mind on, scholarships, even though they're a small amount, apply for them if you're able to, because they're going to benefit you when you're in college. And also because you don't have to pay for those expenses out of pocket. So that's something that I wish I knew when I was in high school.
That's great. Thank you, Emi. I definitely can piggyback off of that. With something that I wish I knew when I first came into college would be to really ask around and really ask your classmates or even the professor. There are times where not all classes require textbooks, or if they do require textbooks, you can either find them online or tag up with someone who's taken the class before. They might have an online PDF of the book. So that is like little tips and tricks of ways as to how to reduce the college expense level and to practically get a book that might be $350. You can get it by either through hand-me-downs or rental assistance, what some universities have. I know my university, if you sign up for a certain plan, you actually are able to get your books for a reduced price, for a fraction of the price that you would pay for if you were taking all paying for every single class. So definitely take advantage of the resources that the school might have. And also I know it's kind of unrelated to the books, but also be conscious of the health insurance, because option and either opting in or out, depending on whether it works for you. And what I mean by that is most universities, if not all, offer students health insurance plans, and that goes attached with the student services, and it goes a part of your tuition. Now, if you already have life insurance or health insurance, then by your parents or what have you, then you don't have to sign up for the school, which will save you. It varies on university, but it will save you over $1,000 in terms of your tuition and costs, just because of you already having your health insurance. Because universities have to take account of every student providing health insurance and free to be enrolled, you must have health insurance within a university setting. So that's two things I kind of wish I would knew earlier on, and hopefully this helps all of you in the process.
I think I just want to add, which I think has been touched on several times tonight, definitely get to know your professors or your counselor. Find someone inside of your university that you trust and that you can go to, whether it be a personal problem or you need help. It's like Eljin said, sometimes they can access these resources that you don't know exist. You can get a free PDF. They can talk to someone in the financial aid department or in your academic department for you. So make friends wherever you go. Make friends wherever you go and get to know your professors, because they know the university system forward and backwards. So they can really help you be successful from start to finish in college. So I think I don't have any more questions. There's no more submitted. Do you guys have anything you would like to add before we head out? Okay. Well, thank you guys all so much for being here. I hope that you found it helpful. I want to say thank you so much to Eljin, Emi, Helena, and Myr'lice for taking the time out to be with us tonight. If you guys have any questions after this, you can email me at information@nshss.org. There will be, the recording of this will be posted up on YouTube for you guys, and you should also receive a copy of it in your email if you registered for the event. So take care, and we will see you guys really soon.